Welcome to Best of the Nest, a weekly program produced by the television production students of Armstrong High School. Each week, we will take a look at some of the unique things happening in our school and our communities. This is our first show. As this is our first show, today we'll be taking a look at this program itself. I'm Ariana Perrell of AHS-TV, and I'm joined today by Mr. Swanson. Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself for the viewers?
Hi, Archie. My name's Mr. Swanson, and I'm an English teacher here at AHS, and I also teach the TV and video and film classes.
All right, thank you. We are now going to take a closer look at Best of the Nest.
Best of the Nest is a new program that showcases some of the unique things happening at Armstrong High School in our community. I sat with AHS teacher Erin Kidder, who is also the Hawk's Nest newspaper advisor.
I think my favorite shows are when they're student-driven topics. So whatever's trending or going on in the school, whatever people want to talk about, I think that would be perfect.
So then, do you think that the show has the potential to represent our school well?
Absolutely.
I then hit the halls of AHS for more insight from some students. Have you heard of Best of the Nest?
Yes, I have. I have heard of it through talking with Mr. Swanson.
What topics would you like to see discussed on the show?
Basically just the topics that represent our community and our school the best, make us look good.
I mean, I think with Best of the Nest, anything that's important to the students or the student body, things that are going on in school, whether it's new programs or activities the teachers are trying to get going, anything that you can highlight to promote the school and what's going on in the school in a positive light, but also things that are important to the students, I think.
Do you think this show positively represents our school?
I hope it does. I think it'll do a lot better than maybe Education Today because it's more broad than it was just our school and our community, so I hope it'll help.
I think that it can. It depends on how the students participate and how teachers participate in the different topics that are covered, but I think it could represent the school pretty well, and as long as it's coming from student produced, right? So anything that the students are working on, I would assume, is going to be things that they feel are important, at least to them, and I think that's kind of the point, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Lainey. I'm Ariana Perrell of AHS-TV for those of you just joining us, and I'm joined today by Mr. Swanson to talk about Best of the Nest. So where did Best of the Nest come from?
Well, Archie, in 2004, the Armstrong School District had an initiative called Education Today for a district TV studio program, and that ran for about 15 years, 15 seasons. We aired on Comcast as well as WIUP-TV. But whenever the school district started consolidating and Armstrong High School came out of the former Katanning and Port City high schools, the focus of the show as the studios moved here kind of became more and more specific to our school and our community. So after a few years, we just kind of decided that's where we're heading, so why not own it? So basically, Best of the Nest replaces Education Today.
So what exactly is Best of the Nest then?
Well, Archie, I'm glad that you asked. Best of the Nest is basically an opportunity to take a look at some of the positive things happening in our school and our communities. Whether it be students or faculty that deserve a highlight for some kind of achievement, an interesting initiative, community growth, messages, pretty much anything that highlights Armstrong High School or the larger Katanning and Ford City communities in a positive light.
So how does topics get approved to be talked about on this show?
Well, basically, we have this entire thing set down where we ask, is it relevant to the school or is it relevant to the community? And if so, in what way is it relevant? And so long as it meets certain criteria moving forward from there, such as, is it easy to understand? Or is it too specific? Is it something that is basically it boils down to, is it something that has a positive message about our school or our community that could be relevant to a general viewer? And if the answer is ultimately yes, then it gets approved.
Where did you come up with the name Best of the Nest?
I didn't, actually. Archie, you did. We had this conversation before the cameras rolled. Actually, at the beginning of the school year, when we kind of scrapped Education Today and rebranded as Best of the Nest, the advanced TV kids, film studies and filmmaking, which you're in, we spent a couple days kind of talking about how we could kind of rework Education Today into something new that focused on what I just mentioned, our school and our community. And a new title was also something that was a part of that. And I forget exactly who it was. I think it was Zoe Kutch, actually, that threw out Best of the Nest initially. But ultimately, it was voted on by you guys, majority ruled. So,
Yes, it did.
Best of the Nest.
So what's the purpose of the show as a whole?
Well, the purpose of the show is pretty much what I said. We want to provide a platform to kind of highlight, showcase positive things that are happening. You know, like there's so much negativity in the world in general, in media in general, and by and large, good news is often overlooked news. And you know, we just want to be able to be like a positive beacon for our school and, like I said, our community. Our goal is to reach beyond just the walls of AHS. You know, we want to include the Katanning and Ford City communities in that way.
Who produces the show and how do they do it?
Well, Archie, you produce the show. It's completely student run, basically. It's an advantage we have to kind of having everything here the way that we do, where we have the studio incorporated into the classroom and the whole 9 yards. So basically, students enrolled in the upper level production courses here, TV production and film studies and filmmaking, every quarter come up with a topic which is approved, then write the scripts, then coordinate the taping day, you know, in terms of, you know, the guest, incorporated news packages and all that kind of thing. And basically, it's all on you guys. I'm here kind of as an advisory role once we get started, and as you're well aware, starting out, the advanced kids that did Education Today last year kind of take the new kids in the TV production course under their wings, and then second half of the year, it kind of trades off. They start carrying the weight.
All right. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back with more of AHS-TV's Best of the Nest.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trod in black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
And we're back with more of AHS-TV's Best of the Nest. I'm Ariana Prella of AHS-TV, and we're picking back up with Mr. Swanson. How can this show bring the community together?
Well, I think our hope for the show is that it does exactly that, and I think the way it's going to do that is kind of bringing two sides of what feeds this school together. You know, if you're from the area, you're more than well aware of the old Katanning-Ford City rivalry from back in the day, and I think that this show is kind of like an extension or an expression of what the school represents in terms of bringing both of those communities together. We want to provide the opportunity to have the community become involved in what we're doing in terms of being guests, giving us topics and ideas. You know, like we want to provide the platform, like I was saying prior to the break, to give community members a chance to kind of like proclaim or get the word out about the kind of good things that they're doing. And then hopefully that will enable other people in the community to see what they're doing. And it'll be more than just an awareness, but maybe there'll be like minds, you know, and like, oh, that's cool, they're doing that in Worthington, we're doing something similar to that in Crooked Creek or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe people can find out about each other, different things going on, support those things. That's the ultimate goal for the show, I think, is for it to become a stage to get that kind of positive news out there, to kind of bring the community together in that sense, where people can find out about things that they may not be aware of, where they can join things after finding out about it, and where it can just kind of like make its way back into the community and give us more topics to talk about.
All right. What makes the show unique?
Well, I think it's unique in several ways. Probably the biggest one evolves from when it was Education Today, in that it's student produced. You know, 15 years ago when this whole thing started, albeit under the other name of Education Today, we were unique in the northeastern United States in terms of what we were doing. Like a school district kind of having a community-based public relations initiative in the form of a regionally aired show. This reaches approximately 100,000 homes across 5 counties, and it's the wide reach. So having that kind of like PR aspect that was also tied into the community, but also making it educationally sound. The production of the show is part of the curriculum. You know, you're well aware, it's part of your grade. It's the lab component to your grade. Every quarter, different groups come and produce the episode. It's 20% of the grade because it's student produced. Like right now, we have AHS-TV students manning the cameras, doing the switcher, they'd run the audio, doing the teleprompter, you know, the whole 9 yards. So I think that that's ultimately still the base formula that we've always had that makes this truly unique in that term. That it's a good community school public relations opportunity, and also it's an incredible opportunity for high school students. You're doing stuff that even not every college kid gets to do. You know, like we're kind of like basing ourselves off of what, say, like an IUP or a Slippery Rock or a Clarion or something does, you know, except we're doing it at the high school level.
So how does it benefit our school?
Well, I think it benefits our school in a lot of ways. Even if we're not talking about our school on every episode, our school's producing it. Mm-hmm. You know, and that in and of itself is a good reflection on our school. You know, it's showing off what we have going here. It shows off this program, which is, in my opinion, never a bad thing. It shows off the talent we have in terms of our students. It shows off kind of like the initiative that our students take in terms of the topics that, you know, I can't wait to see what some of you come up with over the next year or so as we kind of get this thing into a groove, so to speak. I think it's a win-win all the way around. And I think that any time that you're reaching out to the community to promote positivity, it's going to, in turn, reflect positively back on yourself.
So how do students get involved in the show then?
Well, basically, like I said, if you're enrolled in the TV production classes, you're going to be involved in the show. You're going to end up producing it to some shape or form. I do think that once we kind of get our feet a little more sturdy on the ground, that we can open it up to the general student body to propose ideas. Yeah. And that would be something that we can certainly do, you know, to kind of like bring in ideas about things that are happening in the school that maybe we're not all aware of, that are just kind of stuck in our own little corner of the world of AHS down here. Or that's probably our best feed out into the community. Yeah. You know, like, well, I live in Ford City and they do this, or I live in Catania and they do this, or my grandma's a part of this. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. How do people in the community get involved? You kind of were just saying.
I kind of answered that a little bit. I think it's going to probably take a little bit of time before this kind of saturates into the community a little bit. Hopefully, as the community becomes aware of what we're trying to do here, they begin reaching out to us. I mean, they can always contact me through the district's webpage or the main office, or, you know, like, talk to kids. You know, like, everyone knows somebody somewhere. And like, you go to that school, yeah, well, what do you know about the TV program? I don't know, but I have a friend that does. You know, and kind of, you know, by any means necessary.
All right. How does our administration support our show?
Mr. Rummel is very supportive of the show in that regard. Kind of like what I was going back before, you know, like what we have here at Armstrong High School is a really unique, wonderful thing. And that's not unfortunately always what people want to concentrate on. I mean, like anything else, anywhere else, nothing's 100% perfect. But there is certainly a lot of really cool, unique things happening at this school. Just like there's a lot of really cool, unique things happening at Contanning and Ford City. And people kind of, by human nature, don't pay attention to that a little bit, or it gets lost in the noise of negativity or something. So in that regard, the administration is very supportive of it. You know, like anything that we can do to kind of better our, and when I say our, I'm talking about the school as an institution, our relationship with the general community, kind of form those relationships or partnerships and kind of get the ball rolling a little bit, I think is just a good thing the whole way around. And I think Mr. Rummel, Mr. Lorgan, and Mr. Cominos all see that.
What can students learn from producing Best of the Nest?
Well, it's kind of like what I said before. You guys, you're making a TV show. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's not like, I don't know, X-Files or Friends or whatever. And yeah, I'm a 90s kid. But, you know, you're making an actual news talk show. This is real. Like if you go to college and you eventually get a job, this is it. You know, this is what you do. You're using college level equipment. You're running on an actual schedule. As you're perfectly well aware, this is part of the class, but it's more than just that. Like you have a due date. I cannot give you an extension on that due date because I don't have an extension to give you. Yeah. It has to be where it needs to be in time for it to air. So you're getting the real world like taste of it, which is ultimately why it's such a big part of your grade.
How does the show involve the students, the classes that the students take? Well,
it's an extension of those classes, you know. You learn all of this theory, regardless of when you come in, whether you come in through Media Lit or you come in TV1 after public speaking. But it's an extension of those classes. You're taking theory that you learn in the class and basic concepts, and you're kind of applying it. And one of the things that I love about doing the whole TV production film thing is it's one of the few, like communications media in general and everything that encompasses, is one of the few fields, and thereby making this one of the few classes or few programs that incorporates so many distinctly different things. Writing is a part of it, like you wrote the script. Mm-hmm. You know, public speaking is a part of it. You're interviewing me as the host. You know, Lainey was out there with your news package earlier. You have the technology side of it in terms of just the actual equipment. There's an artistry to it in terms of how you frame a shot and things like that. So you bring all of these different ideas together and you kind of just blend it all up and spit it back out. And what we're spitting back out is something that can potentially and hopefully, you know, put some good vibes out for our school and our community.
So this is a graded assignment for all the students?
Yes.
All right. What should we expect next from Best of the Nest?
Well, I know some of the topics coming up include things that are unique to our school. Like I think they're going to take a closer look at Powder Puff in one of them. They're going to take a look at the Veterans Day breakfast that Key Club puts on, which is going to be really cool. Just kind of like highlighting these different kind of things. And that's kind of where our focus wants to lie. You know, we want to try to walk that line where we include the community. You know, like, of course, we want to highlight things that we're doing here because we want to let the public at large know about it. But we don't want to just like use this as a stage to like, hey, look at us, we're great. You know, we want to kind of like invite people to come along with us. Like, you got something? That's cool. Like, come along and come with us too.
So you just said it was graded.
Yes.
Am I going to get an A?
Probably not.
Dang it.
Of course you're going to get an A.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week. I'd like to thank Mr. Swanson for joining me today. Best of the Nest is a production of the students enrolled in television production courses at Armstrong High School. Join us again next week for a look at some of the unique things happening in Armstrong High School and communities. Until then, from our nest to yours, have a great week.